Satin says, I want to welcome.
Wake up, wake up, switch up, wake up, cover my wake up, look on my wake up. Building it from scratch, we're 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 building it from scratch. Looked around and found out I was all I ever needed. I got the power out inside of me. Ay, Kundalini in my spinal, on my spine that's a high note. Any line that I hold, know my ancestors have spoke. Don't need no sino, all the power I told. Put la pelo santo, cleansing, watching the smoke, levitate. Let it go, now I flow. Let it go, now I flow. I'm a designer, it gon' get finer. It's a constant reminder. I'm watching all the planets align up, dividing the time in my mind up. Put your weight up, I'm searching for the light. It was mine all the time, I'm a diamond, constantly shining. Knowledge arriving, the deeper I'm diving, I'm the one that's driving. Tell me who riding, ain't no deciding. You already know, so please stop your hiding. It's time to step out and receive this lighting. Oh, kakabeoko, kabaeko. Oh, kabaeko. New specs, who next? We next. Concave this context. Always we reject. Include the convicts. Exclude your precepts. Egypt, we built that. Architects, our concept. Ayy. Know the code, I syntax, and I mean that. I know it's complex. I'm a whole project. Everything coming at me, I ain't stopped yet. I got the passion and that purpose on effect. Ay, 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 oh. We building it up from scratch. Do y'all hear the words? Building this from scratch, building this from scratch, building this from scratch. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, y'all? So I'm just jumping on here real quick, riding the waves of the energy. Felt like the oracle was being summoned, and I was like, okay, all right, what we go do? So that's a song called Wake Up or Wake Up. You will not find that song anywhere except for on my YouTube channel. The link is in the bio. If you listen to those words, my songs are activations. They're not just words that I write, but they are embodiment of awakening codes, light codes, activations. And so this type of music is the type of music where we're moving away from what we came from, Gen X. And a lot of us listen to old music because of the frequency and the vibration. So, it's really important that you all support people who are making this music, because you wouldn't believe, as simple as that shit may sound, unless you make music, you have no idea how challenging that process is. And especially for somebody like me who I'm 100% all in, like with my family, with my partner, with my kids. Like I want to give 100% to everything that I do. And so y'all see me, y'all see how many videos I got on here. You know I be working and I be moving. I got chronic illness and chronic fatigue and CPTSD. I got neurodivergence, like on top of neurodivergence. It's a lot going on. So when I create and I put that energy out there, the way that you receive it and the way that you reciprocate it and the way that you resonate, you can co-create with me. So tap in. I think I have 6 songs on the playlist on my YouTube channel. Check this shit out. Honestly, like I feel like I'm like really one of the dopest MCs to ever walk this planet. That whether people know me or not, because how you feel about you ain't got nothing else to do with nobody else. It's got to be how the fuck you feel about you. And that's how I feel about me. That's what I know. Like, ain't nobody else like the Oracle who done died a couple of times and you putting all of that shit into everything that you do, blood, sweat, and tears like that. You can't really pay for that. That's priceless, you know? So return the love with me when I share and let me know y'all receiving this, because I don't be bringing y'all no bullshit. I don't waste time telling people shit that's not gonna help them. I don't read manifestation books and be like, oh, I'm just gonna give this to them and repackage it. Like, I'm not putting down anybody who does that. That just might be their process. But we need innovation. You know, we need new things to be able to tap into. So that song is called Wake Up or Wake Up. And so you only got 2 options. Once you go through the awakening, you only have 2 options. But today, I don't know, I think I want to talk about Lilith. And the reason that I want to talk about Lilith today is because she pulled up on me during Scorpio season. And, you know, she was just like, babes, we need to talk. And so if you don't know, Lilith is considered to be Adam's first wife. Okay? And in the mythology, especially depending on which spiritual systems you study, like the information that you get about her is of her being a demoness, right? Some of the mythology says that she refused to have missionary sex with Adam. And Adam didn't like having a woman challenge him. So she was kicked out of the Garden of Eden because she was sovereign in her mind. And when she was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, they said that she started to steal semen from men while they were sleeping. So like if you ever have that happen to you and like you wake up and you maybe don't even remember having a wet dream, but you wake up and you like, what the fuck? Like, okay, they say that that's Lilith, right? And so these things can sound not only vampiric, like in a negative way, but I mean, everybody feed off the energy of something. So technically you could say every living creature on this planet is vampiric, right? Whether you're feeding off the sun or feeding off the food or water. Vampirism is negative when you're using it in a negative way and you're causing harm to people, right? So with the whole stealing semen thing, if you think about that, it's almost as to say, if you don't do what it is that the demiurge wants you to do, you're going to be slandered. And you're not going to be, we're going to make sure that we pass down stories about you that are negative. So a lot of people, even myself at one point in time, I didn't understand Lilith's existence. And I started working with her. I even hired a priest, you know, to help walk me through some things and really working with her. And I realized like she is a liberator. She's not anything that they said that she was. She's a liberator. She is someone who will teach you the way your shadow self doesn't hold boundaries around the part of you that is meant to be protected. And a lot of us don't know how to do that. So Lilith is not, a lot of men work with Lilith. It's not just women. And it's not just around sexual things, but we do have a lot of sexual trauma. Hip hop did a number on us. The sacral chakra was being attacked with hip hop. This is why I like to use hip hop elements in my music, because, you know, I come to fuck up the 3D matrix. I did not come to keep the bullshit going. So I'm going to take the same weapon that was weaponized and use that shit to heal. Real, recognize real. That's what we're doing. And so hopefully when you listen to my music, that's what you feel. But with that being said, before I start freestyling, you know, Lilith is someone who will help you to identify areas where you're giving your power away, right? Where you are saying yes to things. Because a lot of times, a lot of the things that we believe, even right now, have you question every single thing that you believe and why you believe it. Because it's so subliminal. Thank you for the love. It's so subliminal. It's so subconscious. It's so embedded into you. Where you, a lot of times we don't question, like, why do I believe that? And so society project beliefs into our bloodlines to keep us from tapping into our highest potential. So if you come from a bloodline of people who are very, very powerful when it comes to using their words, right? You will have experiences where you have NPCs, non-player characters. These people can also include your family. You're probably going to go through religion. You're probably going to have teachers who are going to like make it seem like you stupid and dumb every time you say something. You're going to have these experiences happen throughout your life that make you feel like your words don't hold power. And you will even start to doubt your own self. And so what happens is these projections become our inner dialogue. And so we think this about ourselves on a subconscious level. A lot of times we're moving in ways that's not really authentic to us. It's just a version of us that the world said was acceptable, or the version of us that the world said was smart, or the version of us that the world is pleased with because we acquiesce, we shapeshift. And, you know, these things can be superpowers, but if you're not aware of when you're using them and how you're using them, this shit is using you. So, like, I'm a shapeshifter. I'm a code switcher. Put me in any room, with any situation, with anybody, and I can become whoever the fuck I need to be to do what I need to do while I'm there. That's a superpower. But before I was aware that that was happening to me, that was my false self. And my false self would hijack my authentic self. And then I would be moving in ways where I was not moving in a way as a liberated, untamed, sovereign soul. I was moving as a tame, fucking domesticated person who was detached from their own primordial spirit. And your primordial spirit is your oversoul. That's the part of you that will always exist through all of these incarnations. We don't come to earth one time. We come over and over again because the purpose is for the soul to evolve. These are classes. Every lifetime is a classroom. That's what we're here for. So when I really started working with Lilith, it was because I realized, and I'm going to tell you this, if you happen to be a black person, let me say this because this is like, it is what it is. And y'all can drop some questions in there and I'll answer a few questions because I do got readings to do tonight. But as a black person, we kind of had to tiptoe through life to be safe. We have to tiptoe and not say the wrong shit. We had to tiptoe even around our teachers. Like the whole public school to prison pipeline thing, a lot of us didn't know about that until Tupac was talking about it in his music, right? He was talking about it. So school has been set up in a way where it's basically a prison, from the plates that they eat off of, to the meals that they plan, to the way the school, the architecture of the school, the sacred, shall I say, non-sacred geometry of the school is set up exactly like a prison. So even if we didn't end up going in prison, we were already being groomed to think as slaves, to think as prisoners of the prison planet. And so as children, we learned to walk on eggshells. It was just like, okay, I can't say everything that's on my mind. For those of us who are Gen X, we got our ass whooped at school. Like, that shit was normal. And I think about it now and I was like, I would lose my mind if I got a phone call from school and my daughter told me somebody put their hands on her. Like, but back in the day, that was like spare the rod, spoil the child. Lilith is anti-religion. And she's anti-religion. Number one, let's talk about this. In the Old Testament, Isaiah was being picked on by a group of kids. And the solution to him being picked on by a group of kids was him conjuring a bear. Are y'all listening to me? Because I need people to recognize the amount of magic that's in the Bible. All monotheistic religion is reversal magic, okay? He summoned a bear, and the bear attacked, mauled, and unalived this group of children because they were picking on him. A grown-ass man. Now, how do you make sense of that? See, I studied. I really studied. So when I started coming into spirituality and out of religion, I started to question some of the things that I would never even do. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, Lilith stealing semen from men in the middle of the night versus this prophet Elijah summoning a bear to maul and unalive children because they was picking on him. Like, can you really compare those two things? Because one of them is definitely way more insidious than the other. And then you have Moloch, Moloch, Baal, all throughout the Bible. And there was this sacrifice that is demanded of children. You have Yaldabaoth himself not only sacrificed his own son, but recommended that Abraham do the same. And didn't stop Abraham until Abraham had the knife in his hand and was about to take the life of his child, his innocent child. So we love to create these beliefs around these things that make them appear to be love and light. But if you really study, you will see that it's a lot of insidious things happening in this same text that's supposed to be used for instructions to live life. And we wonder why the world is in the state that it's in now. And so one of the scariest things for me was coming out of these belief systems and actually helping other people to decolonize their mind. Because that level of harm towards children is not okay. It's not okay. I hadn't even touched on the level of harm towards women all throughout all monotheistic religion. Women and children have been treated the worst, and they have been abused the most. And so people who don't study, people who maybe just pick and choose what to believe, it actually damages the collective because you're co-signing an energy that's harmful. So that's one level of it. And working with Lilith helped me to find the courage within myself to be honest and speak about these things. This is not for everybody. If someone would have presented the truth to me before I was able to digest it, I would have called him a liar, and I would have told him that Jesus is the only way, right? And the best thing in the world, and it's nothing else. But then you move forward, and I would say things like, well, the Old Testament, that's a separate thing. It was eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth back then. It's not like that now. But it should have never been like that, you know? And in the New Testament, what really put the nail in the coffin for me, beyond the women and children, but you think about it, in the New Testament, Jesus himself says, bring them to me. Him and his Father, because they're one. Bring them to me so that I can slay them. Why are we talking about unaliving people? Unaliving people because they were born somewhere else and believe something different. Like, you can't make this stuff okay. You can't. This is going to put cracks in the foundation of everything we try to build. You can't make that okay. And some of my clients went through some of the worst religious trauma. I couldn't even believe some of the things that I was hearing. And if you think about the amount of sexual molestation that happens within religion, there's a direct correlation, because there again, remember what I said to you. Religion, first of all, religion is sexual alchemy. So the steeple represents the phallus, and the dome and the building of all of the buildings represent the womb of the woman. All religion is based around sex magic. If you look at the Kaaba stone, it looks like a yoni, a black yoni, and they circle around it. All of the rituals are sex magic. And there are books that I'm not going to mention here because I have went over this information for many years, and most of the stuff is on my Patreon. But there are books where you can actually study like the root of these beliefs and the actual rituals that were taking place when King James created the version that he created. People don't realize that this was social engineering. That there were papers signed, stamped by the kings, sent out saying, this is our next goal and mission. We must evangelize people from these indigenous countries, because the level of power that's in their bloodline in the future is going to break down our dominion. And we're not going to have power over the oppressed anymore. The oppressed is going to come those who awaken to their own power within themselves. And they actually sent evangelists out. Blood was shed. It wasn't, nobody was knocking and saying, hey, I love you, I care for you, I worship and believe in a God that wants to take care of you, and I'm here to help you. None of those conversations went like that. Most people don't know who Harold Bluetooth is. Most people don't know that the Bluetooth technology that was created, it existed in ancient times. And Harold Bluetooth is someone who was hired by the Roman Catholic Church. And what he did was he put together these like assassins, right? For anybody who was resistant to this new religion. And they had something called gelling stones, gelling stone communities. And in these communities, you could still see these today. It would have dark melanated people in chains, bound, being crucified. And this is what was done to solidify monotheistic religion as the only spiritual practice that's acceptable on this planet. Now that we have all of this information and technology, some people still choose to stay in these systems, even though they may know about these really diabolical things that have happened, because some people's consciousness is not ready to be aware of this. And, you know, I never speak against anybody's beliefs, and I never try to awaken somebody before their time. If they don't come to me and ask, I don't mention it. You know, so this is why I don't do a lot of lives, because the truth that I had to come to on my own is something that most people would shit on, because it is something that's going to create a lot of pain for them. Ignorance is blissful. You know, and so to be aware of these things and to know these things and to walk with these truths, there's a certain level of resilience that your soul must be already walking into to handle this, right? Oh, okay. Thank you, Blue. And so what happened was with Lilith was exiled. And I couldn't figure out why women's rights, because you look at women's rights, like right now, 2025, women's rights, women are losing rights left and right. Women can't get abortions. At one point in time, they fixed it where women could not get an abortion unless their husband signed paperwork approving the abortion. But what if she didn't have a husband? Women are losing rights to their own body. And it's happening over and over again. And I wonder why. Women live in fear in the workplace of being replaced. Women still don't get paid what they're worth. This is not just regular people. This is even actors, actresses seeing this exact same thing happen. It's a divisiveness. It's an unwillingness to treat the sacred feminine as sacred. And so if you are somebody who grew up in trauma, grew up in dysfunction, you're on a journey of healing, you know that you live in survival mode, you know that you go into fight or flight, freeze or fawn, you know that you struggle. Sometimes you just say yes because you're trying to keep the peace. If you're somebody who never was allowed to have boundaries, a lot of us were not allowed to have boundaries. And then you grow up and you go into a system where you have to get pap smears and biopsies and DNCs, and you find out you have endometriosis or polycystic ovarian disease or fibroids. Like, as a woman, we go through so much pain. I don't even think men can conceptualize the amount of pain that the feminine body has to go through from just being here in this world. And I made a post about that. And I'm going to tell y'all something that I have never really heard anybody else say. But with all the technology that we have now, it seemed like we would be further along and we would not have to endure procedures that are so painful. It's traumatic. Being a preteen, having your first cycle and having to get a pap smear, it's traumatic. Having metal objects put inside of your body, most of the time we're virgins, it's traumatic. And it's by design. It's not coincidental. It's not that no one has made inventions that can be used instead of the alternative that creates pain and even sometimes leads to bleeding. I recently went through this, and when you go through this, after you have awakened, it's more painful because you know that there is a better way. You know that there's a less painful way. And to have a little girl have to go through this, just because her cycle has started, this is the prison planet. This is the patriarchal system that's set up, and it feeds on the suffering of feminine bodies and feeds on the suffering of women. So you got the religious trauma, you got the medical trauma, right? You have the fact that even in religion, women's body were not their own. Then you got politics, and now women are losing rights. Look how long we went without being able to rent or own homes. Look how long, like, this shit was like well into the 50s. And that's just on paper, because it's still happening today, right? So with a lot of the things that I see happening, the rise in chronic illness in women, the rise in chronic fatigue, it's the trauma. It's happening to us from every angle. When men become men, there isn't any specific procedure that they have to get done that's painful. Not one. Other than if they get an STD and they have to get swabbed. But that's it. But you don't have virgins laying in cold rooms with their feet in stirrups and metal objects being shoved inside of them. They don't go through that. And you have to wonder why. What is the spiritual repercussion? What is the root of this? And so I have always been someone who wasn't afraid to ask questions. But if you don't have the courage to receive the clarity and the answers, then you'll stay in a haze and you won't be able to see the truth. And so as I began to tap into that and began to work with men and women who were interested, and I was like, Lilith is going to be your remedy. Lilith is going to give you the power and courage to speak up. Lilith is going to give you the power and courage to create the boundaries that you need to be a healthy person, right? Even mental health. You need these boundaries. Boundaries are not like hard lines that we draw outside of us. It's something that you create within yourself where you say, okay, I'm not going to tolerate this, whether it's coming from somebody else or myself. I'm not going to allow this to be done to me anymore. And because we was getting whoopings at school with paddles, do anybody here remember that? With huge paddles. We was getting whoopings in school. And it was like, what was the other thing? It was like this huge paddle, but it's the same paddle that's used for initiations in fraternities and sororities. You really think that's a coincidence? Like, you really think that's by design? See, this stuff was normalized. But what's normalized is what traumatized us. It's what hypnotized us. It's what programmed our minds to accept abuse as normal. And so now that trauma is affecting us on this deeper level, we're seeing right now what we're seeing is the apex of all the culmination of all of the stuff that's been hidden in the shadows that has been happening. And so many of us, especially for those of us who did come through religion as well, because I'm talking about trauma from all of these different structures of society, because there is no angle that has been sacred and protected us. Not one. So a lot of women, we don't know how to protect ourselves. A lot of men don't know how to protect their own inner feminine. They don't even know that they have an inner feminine, first of all. Okay? So what they did was they reverse engineered everything. They created a mythology and put Eve as the wife of Adam. So this is the mindset that in order for you to survive in this world, you can't be sovereign. You can't ask questions. You can't think for yourself. You're not allowed to speak up. You're not allowed to live your truth. You're not allowed to say no. Your body does not belong to you, right? And so, so much of this is why we're in the state that we are now. And there are a lot of things that I can't say here on this platform. I'm being careful about what I'm saying. But I will say this. For those of us who wanted the truth, we're getting the truth. We're seeing the truth. Not just in the social constructs outside of us, but within ourselves. Hip hop was a psychological warfare tactic. Point blank, period. That's not how it started off. But just like everything else, it gets weaponized. And so hip hop taught women that the way for you to get ahead is for you to allow yourself to be used for pleasure of others. And we were groomed. It was normal for a grown man to try to holler at me 15 years old. Like, this was normal. It was normal to go to an audition and, even though you're not old enough, get the job as the video girl and have access to all types of liquor and drugs and whatever else. That was normal. People knew that we were underage and they didn't care. But because it had been normalized, we thought nothing of it. So then you have the rise of the video girl, the video vixens, and this was something that I only wanted to do because it had been projected on me that was the way for me to get ahead, right? So we started to, and that wasn't a Lilith energy. That was still an Eve frequency. That was still a frequency of a woman not having the sovereignty to protect herself. But she was willing to use her body to get her ahead because we had not been shown any other way. And it's almost as if, because look at who owned distribution companies. Look at who owned the record labels. They study spirituality. They study Kabbalah. They study Chaldean numerology. Like, they study all of the spiritual systems that we were told not to study. So the entire time, culture seemed like it was something that was just organically happening when it actually was being socially engineered by people who wanted to suppress the descendants of the same people whose lives was taken because they were in resistance to this oppressive mentality that was being assigned, known as religion. Religion means to bind. So this was a collective binding of people's spiritual gifts. And it's been a viral video going around that I saw today, which was one of the reasons that I was going to go live and just share some of this, because these are high level conversations. These aren't conversations that you can have with just anybody. You have to have done a certain level of shadow work to even be able to have this conversation and realize the value of the conversation. This is not a judgment against people. People are going to do whatever they can to survive the situation. Like, I have no judgment against people. I never judge people for the decisions that they make. But in the viral video, it's this little girl, and she's like she's standing maybe in front of the church, and she says that her stepmother listens to her more than her mother does. And that was a very honest, heart-led thing to say. She wasn't trying to placate her mama. She wasn't concerned about what everybody else was going to think about her or her mama. She was being truthful. And religion is supposed to be all about truth, right? Because the truth is what sets you free. But this little girl was honest and spoke the truth, and she got shamed for it. When I tell you they drug her, and I don't know if the woman that was in the frame with her was the mother, but the way she was looking at her, I mean, the evil eye energy was so strong to where, like, I felt like I needed to say a prayer over the little girl, because who knows what she's going to go through when she get home. And they berated her. They basically said that, that was demonic. And that's what's wrong with these kids these days. It's like you never say anything negative about anybody in your family, even if it's true. And it's gaslighting. It's confusing. It's abusive. And, it's the reason that a lot of us now struggle to live in our truth, because we're still afraid of being judged, because mammals have an innate sense inside of themselves that if I'm abandoned, it means that I have less chance of survival. So we will try to go along to get along so that we can survive. And this is when you end up becoming somebody and you don't even know who you are, because your identity is built on the beliefs and projections of others to try to stay safe. I'm looking at this little girl like, that's Lilith energy. Lilith energy is the energy of the truth. It is the truth that is not popular. It is the truth that is not going to get the applause. It is the truth that may even rock the boat. But ain't that what we're supposed to be striving for? She embodied what they say they strive for and got berated for it. They ended up laying hands on her sacral chakra and her crown chakra, and just, I can remember going through this. And I really never liked how it felt when these men and women would put their hands on me and start praying and speaking in tongues and saying stuff and casting stuff out. And what it actually does is it separates you from your own soul to where you are afraid to speak the truth. It trains you to believe that the truth will lead to trouble, and you don't want trouble. And so you create a personality that's acceptable, but not one that's authentic. And once you have enough people creating their reality from that space, now the oppressors can remain in a position of supremacy over people. And yeah, so with Lilith's energy showing up in this little girl speaking the truth like that, I'm sure she knew before she said it that they probably were not gonna like it, and she said it anyway. A lot of us grown folks won't even do that. A lot of us grown folks still won't be honest about how we feel with our own parents as adults. That's because of how deep the trauma goes. And there's no shame in that. Like, that's just the reflection of how hurt you were by any time your truth was shut down. So, like, the generations that's coming after Gen X who have Pluto and Scorpio, they have this energy of transformation that's embedded in them. And they not like us, Gen Xers. Some of us push back, but really, ultimately, we tried to go along to get along. Our life was already dysfunctional enough, you know. We tried to go along and get along. But the generations after us, they not like that. And they speak that truth. And I know because I have children and a grandson, and that energy that they be in, it be, I'm going to speak my truth. Even if you don't like it, I'm going to speak my truth. And, you know, there's a level of respect that I have for that. And I may not always like it, but it's what's necessary. It's what's needed. So I have a YouTube membership, and on that membership, I share things that cannot be shared here. It must be in a sacred space. It's behind a paywall because accessing a higher level of information and consciousness that can actually transform your life, there is a reciprocity that's necessary to keep the scales balanced. And I was shown a way while I was doing shadow work about my own self. I started this live stream off with a song because as good as I feel my writing skills are, I don't always share that. There is this part of me that feels like I don't want to seem like I'm trying to be in the limelight, and I need to dim my light and play small to make people comfortable with me, because I was so intelligent and quick-witted. A lot of times I even had teachers who felt a way about me. I could teach what they were teaching in a way where everybody in the classroom would learn it, and I would go up to the board and teach it. I'd be like, can you let me teach it? I would do that, and a lot of teachers didn't like me, you know, and I did not understand why so many people disliked me. Like, I'm not somebody who was likable. I was popular at times, but people didn't always like me, and it was because I was walking in this authentic energy, and it's not for everybody. And when you're not for everybody, and when you wasn't born here to uphold the 3D matrix prison planet, your frequency and the energy that you emanate will make people uncomfortable. So I learned to be small, hide my light, don't let people see my gifts, and then I could stay safe. And a lot of us still live and move like that. Fear is what ultimately is ruling a lot of people right now. A lot of people are not making choices out of a place of love. They're making choices out of a place of fear, anxiety, what I'm afraid of happening. And this is exactly what they want us to keep doing. This is a long game. So I wanted to know, what am I hiding from myself? Because if you're focused on how people don't like you and how you don't get along with people and how people mistreat you, and if you stay stuck there, you will never be able to realize the ways that you abuse and neglect your own self. You will never realize the ways that you betray and abandon your own self. And a lot of times that's what the Matrix does. It mirrors it back to us in such a hurtful way that our mind ruminates on why people treat us the way that they do. Why do people talk to me like that? Why do people not like me? Like, I hadn't did anything to her. Literally, you can walk in first day at a job, ain't said nothing, and people will already have in their mind decided they not gonna like you for no reason, you know. So this is because of your energy, your frequency. You know, what is your human design? What are you here to do? In my human design, I am a 3/5 martyr heretic. So I got heretical energy because in past lives, I lost my life trying to participate in religion. And it led to me losing my life in wars. So in this lifetime, I came to unveil the truth about the danger and the trauma that religion has brought into this world. And go into your research. Behind every war, religion was intermingled in there. You can't have one without the other. And you have to wonder why something that's supposed to be built on a foundation of love has so much war and divisiveness and hatred around it. And people are very aggressive about these beliefs. And even I had a level of arrogance where I looked down on people who live their truth. If it wasn't something that was considered acceptable, I looked down on them. I had a level of spiritual ego, arrogance, and pride when I was religious. And I felt like, I didn't say it, but I did feel like I was better. I did feel like I was better. I would go as far to say things, you know, like, because sometimes prayer can be black magic. Prayer could be, and I didn't learn these things until I started working with these archetypes, because I couldn't see past my own fear, my own illusions. And so people will say, I'm going to pray for you, but the energy is so aggressive behind it that it almost feels like a weapon. Like, are you praying for me to actually help me? Because in the New Testament, it says that if a man is not being obedient, to cast him out into the hands of Satan. Give him over to Satan. And basically let Satan torture him until this person repents. And you got to think about that. Does that sound like love? It didn't sound like love. And I had to confront my own bias. I had to confront my own cognitive dissonance. And I had to say, no, that don't sound like love either. It don't. That's not love. You know. And so a lot of children who have their own thoughts, have their own soul journey, they can't live their truth or speak their truth because they'll be punished. And because these religious texts teach that torture is a helpful tool for righteousness, that sounds traumatic. That sounds traumatic. It feels traumatic. So a lot of what we see happening on the planet right now is due to the fear. It's due to the pain. It's due to the unhealed trauma. And so what I found out through many Akashic record readings, working with these archetypes, the energy that I operate in is not an energy of wickedness with wicked intent. I'm a healer, always have been. But I was someone who was absorbing other people's pain and trauma. most healers are empaths, and most empaths absorb other people's pain. And this is why we need boundaries. We need to be careful about allowing certain people's stories to be told to us with a lot of heavy emotion, because we're energetically sensitive. Our discernment is so strong, we know what energy people are coming from before they even open their mouth. And so when somebody say, I'm going to pray for you, but your discernment, your intuition, and what you feel is behind that is some type of arrogance and pride, and that I feel like I'm in a better position than you, so I'm looking down on you, and I'm going to pray for your old pitiful ass. If that's the energy that is in, that's evil eye energy. That's not love. And a lot of children are growing up in households where that's how they had to operate. And a lot of us were those children as well. So, if you really want to know the truth about yourself, if you really want to know the truth about why you chose the family that you chose, why you chose the partners that you chose, why so many things that's happening in your life is happening, I have a truth spell that you can use, and it will reveal the truth to you, usually within 3 days. And let me explain just briefly what a spell is, because I don't want to feel like I'm having to defend manifestation techniques. Because again, none of this has anything to do with ill intent. Because prayer can be delivered with ill intent, and it oftentimes is. And I have had grown people cry to me like babies when we really got into some of the shit that they had went through at the hands of those that loved them. The deepest wounds happen in these places where healing is supposed to be happening, and that's by design. I have had grown men break down and cry to me and say things to me they had never said to anyone. And if you look at statistics, sexual trauma with men, not just in the prison system, because the prison system uses the Bible in the court to convict people to be punishable, cast them into the hands of Satan so that they will repent. Do you all see the connection? Do you see what it was really created to do? This is about soul trapping. It's not about righteousness. It's not about healing. It's not about unity. It's not about love. It's not about compassion. That's why we haven't gotten anywhere. It's a church on every corner, but a lot of change that we've been hoping for hasn't happened. Why is that? Maybe there's a frequency that's hiding the truth. And maybe what we see is what they want us to see, but it's not the truth. I can't even tell you how my soul trembled hearing grown people express these truths to me that they had held in their whole life. So a lot of men right now, with the culture, with the music, the entertainment, with the baby formulas, hypothetically speaking, because maybe I'm inaccurate, with the gender bending chemicals, okay, with everything that has been engineered and genetically modified to be something that is not. It creates an artificial consciousness. It creates an artificial grid. And a lot of us get stuck in it. And so what happened was hip hop created this culture, this mentality, this frequency through programming on a subliminal level into the subconscious mind. So you are not aware of this. only 10% of what you see in your life was created by your conscious mind. The other 90% is created by your subconscious mind. The things that you are unconscious of about yourself and unaware of. So a lot of men, through hip-hop, entertainment, trying to climb the ladder of success, were exposed to certain type of sexual rituals. And then you have what happened with the choir boys in Catholicism, Christianity, every monotheistic religion. You have all of these things that happen to these little boys and little girls. And then you have a lot of the stuff that happens that I talked about medically speaking that traumatizes the mind. So it fragments the true self. So you become split into all these different versions of you, and it's like a mirror being shattered, and it's really hard to put those pieces back together again. Going through a spiritual awakening means you're learning how to put the pieces back together again. You're learning how to gather the remnants. In the very beginning, we called it remnants gathering because I realized that the soul had been fragmented, and in shamanic teachings, you learn about soul loss. All of us went through that. There are parts of you that are not accessible to you. There is a higher potential in what you're capable of doing that you are not able to access right now because of all of these things that have been put in place to program us to not be able to step into our full potential. And so you got the public school to prison pipeline, and then within those walls and behind those bars, the level of trauma, not just physical, not just mental, but sexual. Look at how many people go to jail and they were innocent. A lot of times they're not talking about what happened to them in there. And then they come home back into society with all of this trauma that they don't know how to work through. They maybe rebuild themselves, get in relationships with women, have children. And now on the epigenetic level, this trauma is passed down generation to generation. So could these Penta farms be trauma farms? Could that be one of their purposes? Give me a second. I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes taking any questions. I go deep, and I don't know how y'all found me because the algorithms do not be letting people find me. And it's not because my information scrapes the surface, because I'm not a surface dweller at all. But if you got a question, drop it in the chat, and I'm going to answer it before I get off here. And I'm going to tell you where you can find this truth spell. So there's a TV show called The Witcher. I don't know if y'all ever heard of it, but if you're into history, metaphysics, spirituality, Gnosticism, the occult, studying religion on an esoteric level, because everything is taught exoteric. So there's a hidden meaning, and there's a meaning that is given to most people. Just like most people think Noah's Ark was actually a boat with a lot of animals on it. But it actually represents DNA, and the animals represents the codes within the DNA. And so these things were told in ways that people of younger consciousness could understand. Okay? So there's more than one meaning to everything. But in this show, Witcher, I'm on season 4, episode 6. It's really, really, really good. Like, you really can learn a lot. But there's this little girl who was born with a very unique ability. And everybody either wants to control her or use her. Her own biological father wants to impregnate her so that he could create maybe a child even more powerful than she is. I started crying watching this and didn't know why. And I was just like, this shit's making me really emotional. Because just to be born in a feminine body is to experience some type of inappropriate shit. I've never met a woman who has never ever had anything inappropriate happen to her. Never. And I've met a lot of people. So listening to that, watching all of the wise women be unalived because there was a specific man who used chaos magic, and he felt like the threat to the world was the wise women, which the etymology of witch is a wise woman. So even that was taken away from us. You know, it's like these words have been so heavily loaded with a lot of deep emotion behind it. If you don't question it, you will remain lost in this simulation. And you will be reincarnated as a baby who cannot talk. And you're going to remember your past lives up until a certain age. And you're going to be in that baby body like, I can't even believe this shit. I'm back here again. And I got to tell somebody, hold up. No, I was just a 48-year-old man. And, you know, like, I'm in this baby body. I don't even know what happened. I had a wreck. And the next thing I know, I'm in this baby body. That's how it happens. And babies can't talk for a reason, because they will be telling us the secrets of the universe. You know. So you don't want to continue to incarnate here on the same level that you incarnated previously. Right? But when you don't have wise women birthing children anymore, when you don't have wise women helping people to heal their ailments anymore, when you don't have wise women being consulted, like this gift that I have, it has never been wrong. It has never been wrong. And I've been on the internet posting videos since 2006, and I have never been wrong in anything that I have ever said. That type of gift, it only puts fear in those who seek to oppress those who actually have true power. And they had threw everything they could at these women. These women was going through it, let me tell you. And I cried. I felt like I was crying for every woman who's ever been in an abusive relationship, for every little girl who had to have all of these metal tools shoved inside of her just because she started her period. I cried for every woman who has had a man leave her and have to raise a child by herself, and that same church that says it's founded in love wouldn't even help her with that child or help them have a roof over their head, because she shouldn't have got her ass pregnant in the first place, and she should have gotten married, and she should have married Apostle so-and-so. We told her to marry Apostle so-and-so. Like, it's some things that I went through in the church to where really I am amazed that I still have love in my heart for everybody, including the people who were part of those stories. And I went through that. I was pregnant and homeless and looking for somewhere to stay. So when the viral thing was going around and people was calling in churches with the baby crying in the background asking for formula, that was not a shocker to me, because I actually lived through that. And I didn't have social media back then. I was the one making them phone calls. I had people in my family who were really heavy in church. They didn't show up to help me. And I don't have no malice in my heart to any of them. It's the system that's the problem. right? It's the system that's the issue. And I cried. I cried not just for that, but for every woman's story that has never been heard. For every little girl right now who is coming home to a daddy who probably is a pastor and he's well respected, but he's narcissistic as fuck. And she going through it at home and don't nobody know. I had friends who fathers was doing things to them, but then delivering the most amazing sermons. And I would spend the night with them, so I knew what was happening. I could hear it from the other side of the room. Shit that will break even the strongest person. I have experienced and witnessed. So when you hear me, hey Crystal, yeah, been on YouTube a long time. So when you hear me talk about Lilith, Lilith taught me how to protect myself, how to honor myself, and how to stop being afraid of my own power. And that power is not to be misused. My energy is sacred. My energy is pure. My heart is pure. But I had to go through the fire. I had to walk through the fire. When you're able to be mistreated and neglected by people, still feel compassion for everybody involved, you walking with a specific kind of power that cannot be taught in no college, no school, no degree. Can't no PhD ever recreate me. Can't no PhD certification, nothing recreate you. You are powerful. And this matrix does everything it can to oppress the most powerful people. And a lot of us struggle with self-doubt. A lot of us lack confidence. We lack self-esteem. And a lot of us feel like we navigate in the world by ourselves. And the only people that we ever find that are on a similar frequency is probably online. Because most of the people that's in your life not on this frequency. They might think you crazy. You know, and to know that there is a company called Cinemix, which reminds me of Soylent Green. But this company, what they use as seasoning alone, it aligns with the Bible. It aligns with monotheistic religion. And then if you ain't never heard of any of this, you can go and look that up for yourself. But when you know that I don't eat fast food, and I can't say where they're getting that seasoning from here. But history has taught us that when you become accountable, you become aggressive, very aggressive. You become angry. You might be good at hiding it, but you're aggressive, you're angry, you're volatile, you're easily triggered and defensive. What we see happening in the world, the reason why prisons are full, it's not because we're born as babies, as wicked people. It's the system. Yes, most people are asleep. And you allow them that sacred journey of being in that slumber. When I first awakened, I wanted to help everybody. And a lot of people disliked me. A lot of people still dislike me. Because I'm a truth speaker, I'm a truth seeker, and I'm a truth sharer. But that's who I am. And the same people that were turned away by churches the way I was, I have helped them. And I'm proud of that. And I wouldn't change it for nothing. So Lilith helped me to get back in touch with my own power And it's really that deep. Y'all don't understand how paralyzing this fear is that's been programmed into us around the feminine. Not just the feminine in women, but the feminine inside of men too. A lot of them don't know how to be the best version of themselves or be a better version of themselves in relationship or parenting because they're disconnected from their own feminine capacity to nurture, to love, to receive, to listen, to be intuitive, to feel, to heal. They're disconnected from that. Okay? So the hidden power that I didn't find in any book was that Lilith helped me to see the truth that I was afraid to see. And once I was able to get away from the fear of seeing the truth, I saw it everywhere that I looked. And in the movie They Live, he would put these glasses on and he would look at advertisements. And he would see the advertisement the way it's presented, and then he would see what it actually said. That happened to me. And it happened to me all at once. I went to sleep one way and woke up a total different way, third eye wide open. And I mean, it was the most, I couldn't believe how we had been bamboozled to mistreat each other. All in the name of religion. All in the name of whatever. Like, it's divisive. Nothing is changing in the world because the people that are supposed to be a part of the paradigm shift are still trying to navigate life with people who are still sleeping. But it only takes a few of us. It only takes a few of us. We don't need the people around us to see what we see. A lot of people could not handle what we see. A lot of people could not handle the energy that we feel. A lot of people cannot handle being clairvoyant. Like, I feel things. I can walk past people in a store and feel their entire story. And I walked past a little girl one day, and her dad was messing with her. And I felt it, and she felt me feel it. And she looked at me, and I looked at her. And she had tears in her eyes, and I telepathically said, I really wish that I could physically remove you from this situation, but I can't. But I see you, and I know who to talk to about it. And she smiled at me and kept walking. You can't make shit up like that and like sit here and tell that shit like that. You can't make that up. These kids are different. They are very gifted. And that's why so many kids are being born nonverbal now. It's not just because of the heavy metals, because that's a conversation that we can't have here. But they knew we were coming here. They knew our souls was coming here. And they had to put plans in place to have us so heavy, so burdened, so divided. Like, there is no reason to me. It don't matter what spiritual system you're a part of. At the end of the day, love should be the foundation of what you do. And if it really is the foundation of what you do, it's only a certain way you gonna move. And see, it's just, it's to that point. And so the world needs those of us who are sensitive enough to energy to pick up on these things. But you also must know what to do once you see something that was hidden behind a veil. To be born without a veil over your eyes is usually a challenging life. We go through things other people do not go through. Ashe, sis, I see you. Okay? And we usually are not popular. I'm not the popular chick. I'm not the popular oracle. I'm not the popular Akashic Records reader. I do what I do well. And I serve those who find me. that are meant to find me. But I'm not supported by the 3D matrix at all. And the constructs that keep us in these trauma reenactments that we try to dress up and call life, that's really what it is. How do you get out of that? What do you do? And so I'm going to leave y'all with this. Truth is often a really bitter medicine that is followed by sweetness. But first, you must go through the alchemy of confronting the truth. And that cannot be done in fear. It can only digest with love. Otherwise, it creates more problems instead of leading to solutions, not just solutions. And so I'm going to tell y'all about a goddess because she's telling me to tell y'all. But there's a goddess named Matangi. And Matangi, I used to say Matangi country, but I'm like, let me try to correct my English. The Memphis slips out every now and then. But there's a goddess named Matangi. And Matangi is a goddess who sees value in what others see to be valueless. She is a goddess who even sees trash as treasure. She's a goddess who is often symbolized by leftover food. She's not offended by offerings that are leftovers. She is a goddess who makes the best out of what she has. She's a goddess who does not exist within a hierarchy of feeling like she's better than other people because of her beliefs or abilities or how much money she got or whatever. She is a goddess that exists outside of status and the symbols of status. She exists on the fringe of society. She is a goddess that even supports people who have been treated like nothing. And I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this. And so as I learned about her, and she is a goddess who is oftentimes uncomfortable. Uncomfortable has almost become just an eternal state of experience for her. And this resonated so much with me. I was like, this mythology sounds like my life. I've had to make the best out of what I could get. I lived on leftovers most of my life until I found out that I was having mast cell activation, and leftovers was creating high histamine levels in my body. And a lot of the physical stuff that was happening in my body was because I was trying to eat leftovers because it was what I had always done. And then my body was like, no, we're rejecting leftovers. And I was like, what? Like, this is what I've always done, you know, cook enough to eat on for a few days and heat it up. And my body was like, no, we can't do that anymore. So learning her mythology allowed me to honor that part of me in the years of my life that I spent in poverty and having to take what I could get. There was a time in my life where if I didn't get food from somebody giving it to me, I didn't eat. You know, I've worn hand-me-down clothes, you know. I've been at the bottom. And I'm sure that those who watch this video that can resonate with that, you know what I mean. So Matangi is the ultimate alchemist, where she comes in and she consumes and devours all of those negative thoughts that you feel about yourself from being the scapegoat, from being the black sheep, from being the one that the flying monkeys is sent after, from being the one who has all of these different slandering, hateful, wicked things that people say about you when you're not in their presence. She comes and she devours that energy, and when those thoughts come up inside of your mind, She takes those thoughts out of your mind and she consumes them. She turns them into something else. She's much like Mother Nature. Mother Nature can pretty much take any and everything and turn it into something else. Mother Nature can take an entire concrete building and turn it into a sanctuary for plants and trees and animals and insects over time. This is the energy of Matangi. And Matangi is a version of Saraswati. Saraswati is the goddess of music, the goddess of the arts, of poetry, right? Of sound frequencies, sound healing. And so she's different. You know, you can't be giving her no leftovers as offerings and stuff. That's not her stilo. That's not her vibe. But Matangi, I feel like right now more than ever, you know, learning about these things can help you to be more compassionate towards yourself, but not just that, because she reconnect you with the powerful wisdom that is only gained from walking through the fire. And if that has been you, I just got to let you know, no matter what life might be showing you right now, no matter how people might treat you and talk about you right now, no matter how your own thoughts might be putting you down, all of that shit wouldn't be happening if you weren't a threat to the prison planet. So don't allow your nervous system to be manipulated by your past. Don't allow your nervous system to be assassinated by people who don't understand the vision of your soul. It is not for them. It is for you to know. Be okay with people misunderstanding you. I'm sure there are people who probably watch my videos and don't tell me they watch them, then interact with me in day-to-day life, and probably are thinking to themselves that I'm a devil worshiper, but don't say nothing. I'm okay with that. I know who I am. I'm proud of myself when I fall asleep at night. I know the things that I have done in secret to help people that nobody else would ever know about. I know the people who are on much higher platforms within the 3D matrix that I've helped, that people will never know that I'm the one that they come to when they need help. Like, I'm okay with what I do being behind the scenes, because I don't do it for the clout. This is the service of my soul. And if you resonate with me, I'm telling you, healing your feminine doesn't go to the next level until you learn how to work with your subconscious mind, the somatic memory of your body, and learn how to actually spell cast yourself. This isn't about what I teach, isn't about other people. It's about you being able to access a higher potential version of you. And if you happen to have a lot of bullshit in your life right now and just stuff happening where you like, I know I'm vibrating beyond this, like, I know, keep serving it. Keep serving up the love that you serve and keep doing what you're doing. There is a buffer time period before things actually change. But working with these goddess archetypes not only helps to heal the mother wound that I had that I could not heal. I tried to heal every way. Everything that I put my hands on, I tried it. But when I started reparenting myself using the consciousness of goddesses as divine mother archetypes to teach me how to mother the wounded part of myself, things started to change in a way where I was just like, I need to tell the whole world about this. Like, what are we doing? You're not even doing shadow work and healing generational trauma unless you know this stuff right here. Carl Jung talked about the subconscious mind a lot, and he mapped it out. Most of what we see happening in society and in our own lives that is hurtful was created around a feminine being wounded. So when you combine these three things that I just mentioned to you, your soul is able to recalibrate, and you're able to sit in the midst of bullshit and know that you are the shit in which the new seeds will bring up new harvests from the shit because it's fertilizing the future. Your past is no longer holding you back. Your future is being fertilized because you know what tools to use. You got to learn yourself. To know God, Goddess, is to know thyself. If God, Goddess, is this omnipresent energy, that means it exists inside of us, every single one of us, even the people that we might think, because there are some people who present themselves to be love and light, and I can see the wickedness in them. And those same people will say that I'm wicked, and they entitled to their perception of me. But their perception of me has no impact on me. And so when you get to that level, and when you start to be challenged in that way, don't let these frequencies bully you. It's okay if you get depressed, you get sad, you need to grieve, you get mad, you get fucking frustrated, want to give up on life. I have days where I just be like, fuck it all, fuck it all. I'm done. I'm done with this world. I'm sick of it. I just see stuff happen in the world and I just be so over it. And sometimes I feel like I be more affected by things than some people that should be affected by things, and they're not. And I be like, Satan really does come as an angel of light. But the thing about the goddesses that I study, they don't present themselves to be angels of light. They present themselves authentically. They don't hide their stories behind stories there to glamorize and sound better. And it's that level of authenticity, that frequency, in which I was needing to be able to actually transform myself. Don't focus on your life. Focus on you. Because every single thing that you do is affecting the grid right now. If you're a chosen one, if you tend to be a lone wolf, if you ever been a black sheep, if you ever been a scapegoat, you see all the animals I just used, we can keep going with this, but I'm gonna stop right there. But if you ever been any of those, it's because you are a threat to a systemic structure set up to imprison souls, to reincarnate with amnesia, and to never know their true power, to never know who they are. I can't help but talk that fast. I've always been the person who lift up the underdog. I'm the person that want to make friends with the person in class who get bullied. I'm the one who want to take her home and show her how to do her hair and her makeup, and she go back to school the next day and people are like, damn. That's always been me. And so it was always confusing when people didn't like me until I started to do this work. And so I need you to know that every oak tree that has ever provided shade for you, furniture for you, whatever, it started off as an acorn and it looked nothing like an oak tree. And it started off small. But look how massive oak trees get. And it started off as that seed. Nobody else needs to see your greatness but you. And in order for you to see that truth about yourself, you have to be able to change your lenses. You have to be able to change the filter that you use to view life through. And there are many ways that you can do that. But for the ladies who watch this video, I'm going to make sure that the link is available where you can join my coven on YouTube and you can learn how to do this. And it is so dope. I really wish I could tell everybody, but this is not for everybody. This work is going to heal our planet. This work has been healing us on a generational level, on a dimensional level. And when you're able to meet the truth about yourself with compassion and not judgment, not criticism, you start to radiate a frequency around you that's going to protect you from people who have ill intentions. And you don't have to worry so much about anything that you've ever worried about, because you know the ground in which you walk is sacred. And it has nothing to do with you being perfect, but it has everything to do with you learning how to meet yourself with compassion, with love. And when you do that, your frequency shifts. And this will clean your life out. This will remove people from your life that are not healthy for you. And that could even be your blood family. But this matrix program does to believe that we have to allow ourselves to be in dynamics with people that hurt us. But we don't. We don't have to. And so these dark goddesses exist on the fringe of society. And they don't teach you how to be a good slave. They teach you how to be your own master. So I hope that this reaches who it reaches. Hope that it spoke to y'all. Check out the music. Do I need to end this with some music? I just got some watchers. I got a few watchers in here. I ain't saying nothing in the comments. Like, are y'all intrigued, or you here like on something else? Like, what's going on? I didn't see any questions pop up, so I'm gonna get ready to get off on here. But I need you to know how important you are, and I need you to know that from this point forward, everything that you do is a ritual. Every word that you speak is a ceremony. Every thought that you think is magic and manifestation. And when you know that, and you start to move differently, and you don't let yourself get triggered into being the old version of you, you learn how to take care of your nervous system. You learn how to take care of your gut, which is your first brain. You learn what frequencies your body needs to do what it's here to do. When you learn these things and you be devoted and you do this every single day, that's when you really start tapping into that version of you that you feel right beneath the surface but haven't been able to access. And so, this is that energy and that frequency. But, I hope that even though y'all didn't have no questions, let me make sure before I get off. I hope that Ashe, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's my honor to be able to share these messages. I don't know why y'all be listening to me. Sometimes I wonder, because I kind of feel like I'm sitting on the outside looking in, but I feel like, why they be listening to me? My number's so little. Like you think that I do not. I'm an impersonator, and I don't know nothing, and I ain't been through nothing, So the reincarnation without your memory, yes, it trickles in. And the more that you are able to accept the truth about yourself, the more memory from past lives will trickle in for you. And so the first thing that you have to do is heal your nervous system consistently so that those messages can trickle in. Because y'all got untapped potential. Like, we waiting on the paradigm to shift when we think the people that's go do it is the people that's got the big numbers and the names and the status and this, that, and the third. But it's going to be it's going to come from the people where it's least expected. That's how it's meant to happen, So I'm going to put the link to my coven in there. I'm going to upload that video. I got readings tonight, but I'm going to upload that video tomorrow. It's dope. It's so dope. I'll just say this. I will say this. It's so dope that I combined the research of Dr. Emoto about water with the research of Carl Jung about the subconscious mind with 3 different spiritual systems. And I combined them, used them for years and years and years and years and years until it showed itself to me to be something that I could depend on. And that's how I created this working. And so it is it's basically frequencies that are embedded in the meditation that you can do, and it's going to help you to tap into those truths. But let me say this now, before you start wanting to know things from your past life and activate these gifts, just know that you're going to really need to be able to be resilient and to be able to digest any unhealed trauma that you have not healed yet, and to be able to be aware of that as it come up and have your tools. And if you, that's why I said use music to help you throughout this journey and heal. That's what it's there for. It's there to help us to heal. And so a lot of times we don't pick up on certain things that's happening because we can't emotionally, we don't have the bandwidth to be able to handle it. And I get emotionally overwhelmed fairly easily. So I gotta do my shit. I gotta talk my shit to myself. I gotta make sure that I'm doing my mirror work. I gotta make sure I'm doing my shadow work. I gotta make sure I'm chanting my mantras. I gotta make sure that I'm embodying the frequency that I'm saying that I want to see in the world. Because if I'm not embodying the frequency I want to see in the world, how is that frequency gonna ever emanate into reality and change things? And if you're bothered by what you're seeing in the world, it's because you are the fucking answer. But being able to get that truth, that's a whole other thing. And that's what I've been teaching for a long time. So just gonna let us vibe for a minute. You can stay here and vibe with the music if you want to. But sometimes you gotta take yourself higher consistently. Don't be letting this world and this life break you. I got this sacred fire. We break the matrix. We burn it brighter. Higher. I take you higher. You know I got this. You know I got this sacred fire. This is my music. I break the matrix, I'm burning brighter. Focus my third eye beyond time and space. The light in the dark is like leather and lace. I'm built for this life, to be awake. Hip to the nose, let's forget gravity. Releasing what's heavy when I meditate. Removing the mask cause I do not do fake. Raised in the trauma, been breaking away. Chanting my mantras with coolly. Making a choice to bring power to me. I ain't gotta chase, I attract to me. I do every day on the daily, you see. The negative thoughts, they be bound to me. I am a Tim in my alchemy. Dripping in blessings, I'm proud to be. Speaking my truth, loud as can be. Taking up space like a masterpiece. Higher. I take you higher. You know I got this. You know I got this sacred fire. This sacred fire. I break the matrix. I'm burning brighter. I be the leader, card reader. Shit, I'm far deeper, squad leader. I got all features, God features. I'm built different. This broad sweeter. I'm a peacekeeper, not a mob leader. I'm a heart reader. That's a heartbeater. Standing tall like a large cedar. Walk the line, camouflage seeker. To the mind, I'm a grim reaper. Finding gold when I dig deeper. Shadow worker, I'm a soul feeder. Glow beater, Akashi, see a pain eater. Heyoka teacher, insane reader. I'm a truth seeker. I'm rider waves, loving the sea feature. People think they wanna be. I've been broken, put together like a piece, like IKEA. That's real shit. It's real life. I speak the truth. We elevate, we levitate, mediate. You already know that I feel you on a soul level. We resonate. You already know that I feel you on a soul level. We resonate. You already know that I feel you on a soul level. We resonate. Higher, I break the matrix. I'm burning brighter. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna hop off of here, but go check out the music. Hopefully I got my music coming. I'm supposed to be having a surgery, so I don't know what's gonna be happening with my voice. So I'm trying to use my voice and pump out as much as I can right now. But check out what I got and stay tuned.